Russia is the largest country in the world, covering more than 17 million square kilometers. It boasts a variety of landscapes, from majestic mountains to endless steppes and perpetual permafrost. Just imagine how many mysteries and secrets might be hidden there. In this video, I invite you to discover the most incredible and interesting discoveries made in Russia. Enjoy watching. Many people believe that our Earth is not the only planet that harbors life. Of course, it's hard to imagine that in the entire infinite universe, besides humans, there are no other intelligent beings. To study unknown forms of intelligent life, an entire science, ufology, was even created. Despite many stories about contacts with aliens being known, to date, science refutes the existence of such beings. The reason is that there are considered to be no physical confirmations of extraterrestrial intelligence, although news reports periodically emerge claiming findings that prove that aliens actually visit our planet. One such news story spread across the internet in 2011. The author of this video claims that he managed to find the body of an alien in the snow. Indeed, the creature in the video looks very much like a humanoid, but skeptics declared it nothing more than a hoax. Undoubtedly, if someone had actually managed to discover the remains of an alien, it would have become official proof of the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations. But who knows? Perhaps such information is deliberately hidden from the public. Many of you have heard about monstrous experiments that were conducted in various countries, but did you know that some such stories are nothing more than fiction? One of these urban legends is known as the Russian sleep experiment. According to the legend, in the late 1940s, Soviet scientists started an experiment on 5 political prisoners. These subjects were supposed to stay awake for 30 days, and if they succeeded, they would be granted their freedom. For the experiment, the prisoners were placed in a specially equipped chamber, where a substance preventing sleep was to be administered for 15 days. The room contained beds, books, and bedding, as well as a toilet, and there was an ample supply of dry food and drinking water. The subjects were monitored through a small window with thick glass, a microphone, and speakers. The first 5 days, the prisoners seemed quite normal, but then their speech became confused. By the 10th day, one of the individuals began screaming until he lost his voice, while his cellmates did not react at all. When the observers decided to check through the window what was happening, they found that the prisoners had covered the glass with torn book pages. Thus, the experiment spiraled out of control. Periodically, the observers heard strange crunching and smacking sounds, but no speech could be heard from the chamber. Fearing that the people had died, it was decided on the 15th day of the experiment to open the door and stop the administration of the stimulating substance. When the experimenters opened the door to the chamber, they were shocked by what they saw. It turned out the subjects had suffered severe psychosis. One had died, and the others had serious injuries. Most astonishingly, all 4 survivors resisted the cessation of the stimulating substance. They no longer wanted freedom, and instead demanded to be placed back in the chamber. This story sounds horrific. Although it is a fabrication, the complete lack of sleep over an extended period can indeed drastically alter a person's psyche. In 2021, at a meeting of the Russian Geographical Society, former Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu proposed using the remains of Scythian warriors to obtain valuable biological material. The samples Shoigu referred to were discovered by archaeologists in an ancient burial site in the Republic of Taiva. They are over 3,000 years old. According to scientists, this material has been well preserved due to the long-term conditions of permafrost and could potentially be used for scientific experiments in the future. The first successful animal cloning occurred 25 years ago in the USA, when Dolly the sheep was cloned. However, it took 277 unsuccessful attempts before this breakthrough. Since then, science has advanced significantly, and now the cloning of pets, especially dogs, is highly demanded in China. The situation with humans is different. Admittedly, The idea of cloning ancient Scythians sounds quite strange. Although these nomadic tribes, who lived from the 8th to the 4th century BCE, were known for their combat skills, strength, and fearlessness, they certainly have no place in the modern world. On April 26, 1986, a terrible tragedy occurred at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, an explosion of the 4th reactor. This catastrophe affected a huge number of people and all the surrounding nature within a vast radius from the epicenter. Several days before the incident, people living in nearby settlements began reporting strange phenomena in the area. According to them, a black, headless creature with a humanoid body and huge wings occasionally appeared in the sky. This monster was named the Black Bird. Those who saw the mystical creature talked about suffering from nightmares for a long time afterwards, and also receiving strange silent phone calls. The reports of the Black Bird increased until the Chernobyl disaster occurred. Some firefighters involved in the initial operation to mitigate the disaster's consequences also reported seeing a humanoid creature with huge wings among the clouds of radioactive smoke. Many people still believe that the Black Bird was a harbinger of this terrible tragedy, as a similar cryptid had been spotted in Point Pleasant just before the collapse of the Silver Bridge on December 15, 1968. For over a century, Russian archaeologists have been excavating in the steppe and forest steppe zones of the Middle Yenisei Basin in Siberia, studying monuments and artifacts of the Tagar culture from the Bronze and Iron Ages. In 1968, a burial site approximately 2,100 years old was discovered at the Shestakovskaya kurgan. It contained no fewer than 200 charred human remains, as well as a clay head. Scientists assumed that this clay mask was akin to a sarcophagus, supposedly housing a human skull inside. However, they decided not to verify their hypothesis and did not open the mask. For a long time, studying such enclosed artifacts was problematic, but now modern technologies allow information about the contents to be obtained. In 2020, archaeologists returned to examining the clay head. Using X-ray scanning, they scanned the mask and saw that it indeed contained a skull, but it definitely did not belong to a human, but to a sheep. The burial site where the mask was found belongs to the tagar culture, known for its unique ritual customs. Before burial, the deceased was mummified, and then their head was covered with a mask made of clay and plaster. The found clay head was not the only one, but inside the others were human skulls, not animal ones. Scientists suggest that this mask contained a sheep's skull because, for some reason, it was not meant to have a life in the afterlife. Located on the Kola Peninsula in northwest Russia, this borehole is the deepest man-made hole in the world. It has made its way into the Guinness Book of Records, but it is also famous for its mystical story, leading to its nickname, the Well to Hell. The drilling project was started by Russian scientists in 1970, with the goal of studying geological processes at great depths. The drilling continued for almost a quarter of a century, reaching a depth of 12,261 meters. However, in 1994, the borehole was closed. But why? Officially, it is believed that the depth was too great, causing frequent technical failures. However, there is another version explaining the closure of the borehole. According to it, at the maximum depth, a cavity was found where scientists lowered a special heat-resistant microphone. Since the temperature in this area exceeded 1,000 degrees Celsius, the device only worked for a few seconds, but it managed to record terrifying sounds coming from the depths of the earth. These sounds could be compared to the screams and wails of damned souls, doomed to eternal torment in hell. That is why the Kola borehole came to be called the Well to Hell. Of course, there is no official confirmation of this version, so it remains just a legend. In the city of Kronstadt, near St. Petersburg, lies one of the world's most eerie forts, Zverev Fort. It was built in the 1860s to prevent enemy breakthroughs via the Northern Fairway. Of course, the fort did not always look as grim as it does today. On the contrary, it impressed with its splendor. Delicate iron fences, wide arches, and powerful walls adorned with decorative elements. But what then caused this structure to become what it is today? For nearly 100 years, the fort remained on combat duty, and it might have remained so to this day. But in 1970, a severe fire occurred. According to eyewitnesses, the fort burned for a week, and instead of extinguishing the fire, sailors arriving on barges added fuel oil to the building's basement. As a result, the high temperature caused the brick to melt like plastic and drip down, forming thousands of icicle-like stalactites on the fort's ceilings. Today, Zverev Fort is an abandoned structure, yet tourists regularly visit it to admire the fantastic and somewhat eerie appearance of the defensive building after the fire. Bunker 42, also known as the Taganski Bunker, is the most famous special fortification structure in Moscow. The history of its construction began in 1945, following the first recommendations for protection against the nuclear threat. 2 years later, the first design of this secret facility was prepared. According to this plan, the bunker needed to be located in close proximity to the Kremlin, so that in the event of a nuclear war, Soviet authorities could quickly access a safe place. Following the first atomic bomb tests in the USSR in 1949, the project was updated to include specific requirements regarding the bunker's depth, as well as its durability and operational lifespan. The construction of the main structures of the secret object was completed in 1950. The shelter became operational in 1956. However, work on equipping the bunker did not cease there. Gradually, food and fuel were delivered. Inside, 2 wells for drinking water were established, along with air purification systems. This shelter was fully prepared for comfortable underground living during and after a nuclear attack. Fortunately, a nuclear war never occurred, and in 2000 the facility was completely declassified. Today, the structure of the bunker remains unchanged. The secret facility consists of 2 main components: a dome, which was disguised as a regular building, and the bunker itself. The bunker is connected to the dome by a shaft 6 meters in diameter and over 60 meters deep. The underground shelter has an area of more than 7,000 square meters and consists of 4 tunnel blocks connected by passages. In 2006, a Cold War museum was opened on the premises of Bunker 42, which continues to operate to this day. Lake Karachay, which was located in the Chelyabinsk region before it was drained, was recognized as one of the most dangerous places in the world. But why? Originally, Karachay was an ordinary body of water, but in 1951, everything changed. After the end of World War II, both Soviet and US authorities began actively working on nuclear programs. At that time, a top-secret base was constructed along the banks of the Teka River, which eventually turned into a complex of radiochemical and metallurgical plants known collectively as the Mayak Production Association. In 1951, all liquid radioactive waste began to be dumped into Lake Karachay. Moreover, the water body suffered further after several serious accidents at the plant, which the management of the Production Association tried to keep secret. The situation worsened in 1967 when an abnormal rise in air temperature caused Karachay to almost completely dry up. The wind quickly spread radioactive substances to nearby populated areas. This situation recurred every drought summer. People were in serious danger, which could no longer be kept silent. Karachay became so radioactive that even 15 minutes on its shore would be enough for a person to receive a lethal dose of radiation. Naturally, it became impossible to continue dumping waste into the lake, so in 2015 the body of water was completely drained and concreted over. Now, specialists regularly monitor the condition of Karachay to prevent the escape of radioactive substances into other bodies of water. Dargovsk, one of the eeriest and most mysterious places in Russia, is also known as the City of the Dead. It is located amid the Caucasian Mountains in North Ossetia. Although Dargovsk looks like an ancient settlement, It is actually a large necropolis that was actively used from the 14th to the 18th century. The complex consists of 95 cryptic structures of both semi-underground and above-ground tomb types. The semi-underground crypts are on average up to 8 meters long and have a large capacity. Some of these chambers consist of 2 levels. The above-ground tower crypts are multi-tiered, with wooden floors supported by supports built into the masonry. Due to the many levels in the burial chambers, about 10,000 people are buried in a small area. The local residents who built this complex buried their relatives fully clothed and with some personal belongings. For instance, archaeologists have found a huge amount of ceramics, dishes, and household items at this site. Typically, each family had their own crypt. The deceased were carried into the chambers through narrow passages and buried in wooden boxes resembling boats. The local people believed that this shape of coffin would help the person's soul reach heaven more quickly. The northernmost city in the world is located in Russia, and it is Norilsk. According to the latest census, this city is home to just over 174,000 people. Norilsk is located in the far north, so the climate there is subarctic. Winter can last for 11 months, and in January, temperatures can drop to -50 degrees Celsius. This city is known for its frequent and very snowy blizzards. Sometimes, wind speeds during blizzards can reach 50 meters per second. On such days, work and school are canceled in Norilsk. Summer in this city is very short and rarely lasts more than 1 month. During this time, the average temperature is around +10-11 degrees Celsius, but there have been instances when the temperature has warmed up to +30 degrees. However, the locals are not pleased with such heat, as the sun blinds their eyes, and there is nowhere to hide from it, since the city is almost completely devoid of trees. Norilsk is not only known for the severity of its climate. The city has a thriving mining industry for non-ferrous and precious metals, such as nickel, copper, silver, gold, and platinum. In ancient Greek mythology, the Amazons were described as a nation consisting exclusively of women. All of them were brave warriors, skilled in weaponry. They ventured on their expeditions under the leadership of a queen and never tolerated the presence of men in their society. Of course, to continue their lineage, they had to mate with members of the opposite sex. The girls born were kept within their people, while the boys were either killed or sent to be raised by their fathers. Historians long doubted that the warriors were merely mythological characters, hence it was presumed that they could have existed in reality. In 2020, archaeologists excavating burial mounds in the Voronezh region, in the southwestern part of Russia, discovered the remains of 4 women who died about 2,400 years ago. The first remains belonged to a girl aged 12, 14 years, and the others to women aged 20, 29 years, 25, 35 years, and 45, 50 years. The burial site had been partially plundered. In the unlooted part of the mound, there were 30 iron arrowheads, an iron hook shaped like a bird, elements of horse harness, fragments of clay pottery, iron knives, a mirror, 2 spears, and various animal bones. However, the most valuable find for archaeologists was a headdress made of gold plates called a kalathos. Similar decorations had been found previously in the graves of wealthy Scythians. According to archaeologists, the presence of weapons and exclusively female remains in the grave suggested that this was the burial site of Scythian warrior women, who became the real-life prototypes for the characters of ancient Greek myths, the Amazons. Some fish have incredibly unusual anatomical features. Looking at them, it's hard to believe such creatures can exist in reality. One such fish was caught by a professional fisherman named Roman Fedorov in the Barents Sea. When he decided to take a closer look at it, he was shocked because the fish had human teeth. Roman captured his unusual catch on camera and posted the video online. Users who are well-versed in fish species explained that the fisherman had caught a northern wolfish or blue ling. This species of ray-finned fish is found in the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean and the Arctic Ocean, where they are most commonly found in the Barents and Norwegian seas. Wolfishes live up to their name and look like real monsters. They can grow up to 180 centimeters long. Their long, flat bodies are covered with thick skin and small scales. The main feature of the northern wolfish is their teeth, with which they can bite through a sea urchin. The sharp teeth of wolfishes grow in several rows on the jaw, and additional crushing teeth are located on their palate. Escaping from this mouth is simply impossible. Following the pandemic of the new coronavirus infection, many people around the world are fearful of news about new viruses. This is not surprising, as many diseases can lead to fatal outcomes. To safeguard humanity, scientists not only monitor the emergence of new infections, but also search for and study viruses that existed thousands of years ago. It turns out that some ancient viruses have survived to this day while remaining in a dormant state. In 2023, in areas of the Siberian permafrost, scientists discovered several strains of frozen viruses. The age of the youngest sample, found in mammoth skin, is 27,000 years old, and the oldest, found in the soil of an underground lake, is 48,500 years old. So far, scientists do not know whether these viruses can infect animals or humans, but they are still considered a threat to public health. Experts have yet to study the characteristics of these infections and how dangerous they might be. It is worth noting that the viruses have retained their viability thanks to the conditions of the permafrost. For this reason, virologists fear the consequences of global warming, as many ancient viruses may reawaken with rising temperatures. However, there is no need to fear, as scientists are monitoring the situation. Sometimes people encounter something unknown and frightening. Naturally, in such situations, one would want to share their story with others, but most often even close ones refuse to believe it. Fortunately, people now have the opportunity to capture what they've seen on camera as proof. Yet even then, some consider the photo or video to be a hoax. Such was the case for a resident of the Russian city of Murmansk. On his social media page, he shared his story and attached a photo. According to the man, as he was driving home near the city, he saw a strange object. He mustered up the courage to get out of his car. As he approached closer, he was terrified by what he saw and decided to capture this creature on his smartphone camera. The photo was of poor quality since it was night, but still, we can see a strange silhouette resembling a ball of snakes. Opinions on the internet were divided. Some considered the photo a fake, while others noted similarities to both snakes and aliens. What it was remains a mystery. For most people, statues of weeping angels are associated with cemeteries, and thus with grief and sorrow. However, in the sci-fi series Doctor Who *, the weeping angels were portrayed as a race of cold-blooded killers. These monsters were recognized as the most terrifying characters of the series, and understandably so, as their victims experienced real terror when the winged statues suddenly came to life and attacked them. Now imagine what the miners at the Elgin coalfield in Yakutia must have felt when they supposedly found an angel statue during their work. The photograph of this unusual discovery quickly spread across news portals and social media. The female angel, armed with a sword and shield, drew the attention of many, as it was perplexing how it could have appeared in a mine in the conditions of permafrost. Conspiracy theorists speculated that the area might have once been a secret meeting place for the Knights Templar. However, this theory quickly fell out of favor when one of the miners admitted that he had made the statue himself, and his friends decided to joke and concocted a story about the find. Yakutsk, located in eastern Siberia, is the largest city in the world situated in a permafrost zone with a current population of 367,751 people. Due to its northern location, during the summer, the local residents can enjoy long periods of white nights, whereas in December, the duration of daylight lasts only 3-4 hours. The most challenging trial for the locals is Yakutsk's climate. It is extremely continental. Winters in this city are incredibly harsh, with temperatures potentially dropping to -60 degrees Celsius. Rare precipitation and strong winds make being outdoors almost impossible. Winter in Yakutsk lasts from October to April, with very short springs and autumns. In the summer, however, temperatures can exceed +30 degrees Celsius. It's hard to believe, but it's true. The annual temperature range in this city exceeds 100 degrees, setting an absolute record among cities with such a population. Such temperature fluctuations cause the soil to collapse, threatening the stability of buildings in Yakutsk, which is why, for a long time, only wooden structures were built in the city. Later, deep piles became an alternative, which can exceed the height of the buildings themselves. Thanks to this solution, high-rise buildings have appeared in the city. As you can see, living in Yakutsk is not easy, but the city's population continues to grow. Bears usually live in dens, but some can boast their own homes, like these polar bears captured on camera by Russian photographer Dmitry Ko. In September 2022, Dmitry traveled to a remote part of the Russian Eastern Arctic, the Chukotka Islands. Of course, this area is very inaccessible, but this drawback is compensated by the beauty of nature. Initially, the photographer planned to visit Wrangel Island to take a series of shots with polar bears, but he was out of luck and found no animals there. As Dmitry sailed past Kolyuchin Island, he noticed some movement in the abandoned houses. It turned out that polar bears had taken up residence in them instead of people. The buildings left on Kolyuchin Island were once a weather station and a home for meteorologists, but about 30 years ago, this place became abandoned. No one knows exactly when the bears moved to this island, but the photographer considers it a great fortune that he was able to witness this. Undoubtedly, the photos and videos obtained are truly unique. The Patomskiy crater, located in the Irkutsk region on the slope of the Patom Highlands, is one of the most mysterious and unusual geological formations in the world. It was first discovered in 1949 by a team of geologists led by Vadim Kolpakov. Locals sometimes call the crater the nest of the fire eagle, because from a bird's eye view, it indeed resembles a nest with an egg lying in the center. The formation is about 40 meters high and 76 meters in diameter. The origin of the Patomskiy crater remains a mystery. To date, scientists have several theories about its formation. Initially, Kolpakov's team thought the crater might be a slag heap from mining, but it was later confirmed that no mining had taken place there. Another theory suggested that the conical formation could have been created by a meteorite impact, given its shape and the angles of its slopes, but no meteoritic material was found. Other hypotheses included the birth of a new volcano, a collision with an unknown cylindrical object, and of course theories involving extraterrestrial civilizations. Yet none of these theories has been sufficiently proven, which is why the mystery of the Patomskiy crater remains unsolved. The Republic of Sakha, Yakutia, is known as one of Russia's regions with the harshest climate. It is also home to the world's coldest inhabited settlement called Oymyakon. Oymyakon is a small village with a population of about 500 people, situated at an elevation of 745 meters above sea level. The nearest major city is more than 1,000 kilometers away from the village. Oymyakon itself boasts only a single store and a school. The local economy is primarily based on agriculture. The climate of Oymyakon is determined by its geographical location, remoteness from the ocean, and its elevation above sea level. Winter in the village lasts very long. The average temperature in the coldest month of winter is -55 degrees Celsius. On February 6, 1926, Oymyakon recorded an absolute minimum temperature, where the air temperature dropped to -72 degrees Celsius. A real record. At temperatures of -60 degrees Celsius, a person can get severe frostbite of unprotected body parts in just a few seconds. Mercury in thermometers freezes, and boiling water thrown into the air turns into a cloud of snow. Now you can somewhat imagine how cold it is. However, it is hard to imagine how local residents manage to live in such conditions. A resident of a small town in the Irkutsk region decided to capture the magnificent Siberian landscapes with his drone. Initially, he observed the endless forests, then decided to inspect the area near a small lake. At that moment, his drone's camera captured a girl. The man thought he had found himself in an awkward situation, but he soon realized that it was not a young woman at all. This creature noticed the drone and made a sudden movement with its hands, then displayed a terrifying grin. The photographer managed to capture the monster, after which the strange being quickly disappeared into the forest. The man posted the captured image and shared his story on social media. Some users speculated that he had captured an evil cryptid living in the dense forests of Siberia. Most likely, the monster transforms into beautiful girls to lure victims into its lair. Of course, this is just one of the theories, but who knows? Perhaps such creatures really do exist, as it is known that a huge number of people mysteriously disappear in dense forests. And that's all I have. If you liked this video, don't forget to rate it, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon. Your activity is the best reward for me. Thank you for your attention. See you soon. Bye.